Well, Halloween is that time of the year that always makes us a little bit uncomfortable as followers of Jesus Christ. And again, we've been talking about a lot of stuff this week, and we need to. I mean, it's not always fun. Of course, it's never fun to talk about the dark side, but it is important. And as we head into Halloween itself, I thought it would be very helpful to invite Allie Tower to be with us. She is a former witch, and she has pretty much put into print her journey. The name of the book is Taken from the Night, A Witch's Encounter with God. Came out a few years ago. She's got a new one out called From the Craft to Christ. I think you're going to find this conversation very enlightening, and I'm so glad that Allie has agreed to be with us live on the phone. Allie, welcome to the program. Good to have you with us.
My pleasure, Kurt, and thank you for having me.
Nice to reconnect with you, and let's just dive into your story. You grew up in a traditional Christian household, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I went to Sunday school, Bible, classes, and went to church on Sunday, and pretty much a normal childhood, growing up and trying to serve God.
So here you were grown up in this environment that we would pretty much say was ideal in, I guess, many ways. But would you say that it would be more accurate to portray this as a Christian family maybe going through the motions, or was the faith really deeply rooted? How would you describe that in your family?
I would say it was more like going through the motions. I know that, as a child, to me, God was like, 10,000 miles away. And I didn't really think of him in a way that you could actually relate to. It was just, someday you would die and you would come face to face to him. And at that point in time, you would know him. But until then, it just seemed like he was far out in the distance.
And you considered yourself to be a Christian because you grew up in this household, right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So as you got older, how did things change for you? Did you lose your grip on the faith that you believed that you had over time?
I believe it was, I had kind of went through the teen years and became a little, crazy during that time, and really wasn't so much following anymore. But I kind of came back around to a relationship with Jesus right around the time before I got married, about a year or so before I got married, and came into a actual personal relationship. And at that point I was born again and trying to serve Jesus, and just wanted to basically, glorify God in my life in every way.
Mm-hmm. So you were on fire for the Lord at that point, but in terms of your marriage, it became very difficult, didn't it?
Yes, it did. I didn't realize it at the time. Neither did my husband at the time, but he was bipolar. We were not aware that there was this, underlying problem going on, but it caused a lot of conflict and problems in our relationship. We, the ups and downs, and financially we were, living near poverty, and even the basic needs of, heat, electricity, and things of that nature were many times going unmet. So it was very difficult. And I had, we eventually had a couple children, so we were living in the household, and I just wanted them to really, have a good example of what Christianity is and who God was, and it just seemed like everything was falling apart.
Wow. That must have been very frustrating for you. Did it make you, how do I put this? Were you angry at God because of this? Were you disillusioned?
Yeah, I wouldn't say at the time. I knew I shouldn't be angry at God, so I kind of went with this kind of assumption that I wasn't. But by looking back on it now, I can say that yes, I was definitely angry, because all I wanted was him to be glorified. I wanted just everything for God's kingdom to be displayed in my life, and here it was just everything against it, really. So it was very frustrating. It was very upsetting to me, And I came to a point where I just felt that, I had cried and prayed and, fasted, and we went to counseling, and it just seemed like nothing was working, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So I came to a point where I felt that God had abandoned me, and, I wasn't really hearing his voice anymore speak to me. I began to doubt his word, which is very crucial. I didn't feel that, he was really real and working in my life anymore.
Wow. Allie Tower is our guest live, and we're going to be talking more about her story. In fact, when we come back from a short break here, we're going to be diving into the moment when she made a decision to embrace witchcraft. And you might be thinking to yourself, how could someone who was walking with the Lord, who really loved him, decide, forget this, I'm just heading in the opposite direction? We're going to be talking about that in a few minutes. And put this on your radar. We're going to give you an opportunity to chat with Allie and ask her some questions a little bit later on. You've got Moody Radio with Kurt Goff.